When looking at top music executives during the 20th century that changed how we consume music, you have to mention the man behind Motown Records, Berry Gordy Jr.
You got that right. I mean, where would music artists like Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross and the Supremes, Smokie Robinson and the Miracles, the Jackson 5, and more be without Berry Gordy Jr.'s guidance and savvy in helping his artists rise to the top of the music charts?
I agree. And if you have never heard of Berry Gordy Jr., I know him in history as the founder of the most successful Black-owned business with Motown Records.
Now stick around with us, because some fans might say you don't know music if you don't know these facts about Berry Gordy Jr. For example, looking back at his biography, Berry Gordy Jr. was born on November 28th, 1929 in Detroit, Michigan.
Many people don't know Gordy dropped out of high school in the 11th grade to pursue a career in boxing. He would pursue his dreams of becoming a professional boxer until 1950, when he was drafted by the United States Army to go to the Korean War.
After his return from Korea in 1953, he found an interest in music by writing songs and opening the 3D Record Mart, where Gordy sold jazz music and 3D glasses. His store didn't last long, but it helped him to connect with a man named Al Green, who was an owner of a local nightclub. As the old saying goes, when one door closes, another opens is represented here in Gordy's story. Gordy would connect with singer Jackie Wilson. In 1957, Wilson recorded Reet Petite, a song Gordy co-wrote with Sister Gwen and writer Billy Davis, which was the start of a run of hits.
I love this part of Gordy's story because the money that he made from writing those songs with Jackie Wilson was used wisely. You often hear stories of people in the entertainment business wasting their money on foolish things, but that wasn't Gordy's story.
Correct. Berry Gordy Jr. reinvested the profits from his songwriting into producing more music. In 1957, he discovered a group called the Matadors, which would later change their name to the Miracles.
And from there, Gordy would build one of the most iconic labels of all time, getting help from his family with an $800 loan, and also being helped by musical legend Smokie Robinson. Gordy would end up forming Motown Records in 1960.
And that same year, Motown Records would start cranking out hits with songs like Money, That's What I Want, where Berry shared writing credits. Also that same year, the Miracles released Shop Around, which was written by lead singer Smokie Robinson, reaching number 1 and number 2 on the R&B National and Billboard Pop charts.
Of course, most fans of Motown Records know Gordy for his musical accomplishments, but he didn't stop there. He would turn his sights on the world of film and had an eye for actors, just like he did with musicians. In the 70s, Gordy was a part of the casting of Lady Sings the Blues and Mahogany, where his insight was a part of pairing legendary actor Billy D. Williams and musical icon Diana Ross on film.
Gordy also produced another one of my favorite films of all time with Diana Ross and Michael Jackson called The Wiz.
The success of Gordy is like no other, producing musical acts like Diana Ross and the Supremes, Smokie Robinson and the Miracles, Stevie Wonder, The Temptations, The Four Tops, Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, and more. That changed history as we know it. But with one of these groups, Gordy almost made a bad decision.
What are you talking about?
Looking at the 20th century, one of the most iconic musical acts of all time, you can't talk about music without mentioning the Jackson 5. And of course, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. As we mentioned before, they all got their start with Motown Records, but it almost didn't happen.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, it almost didn't. Looking back to 1966, after hearing the Jackson 5, Gordy did not like the idea of taking on a group of children. Thank goodness for Gladys Knight and her persuasive ways. Gladys would talk to Gordy about how good the Jackson 5 was. Barry would go on to sign them a year later, and the rest was history.
Motown achieved 79 records in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 between 1960 and 1969. But fast forwarding to the 70s and 80s, Motown Records would continue to release music from artists like the Jacksons, Rick James, Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder, and more, but they didn't have the success that they did early on. Gordy eventually sold Motown Records in 1988.
Looking back at the legacy of Gordy, he was a part of writing and co-writing over 200 songs for Motown's catalog, leading to the label becoming one of the most successful Black-owned companies in the United States.